Hey, remember that one time when I proposed to you?
Yeah, I remember the one time you proposed to me. Actually said yes.
She actually said yes,
Yeah.
even though it was
That's
the
why we're
most
here.
disastrous proposal in the entire world. No, it was bad.
It wasn't great.
But
I was so excited, I didn't care.
The good thing was I put a lot of effort into it and a lot of thought. I just failed.
I mean, I kind of knew what was happening.
Yeah.
You blindfolded me.
Yep.
But then you got lost.
Yep.
And so he goes to a gas station in downtown Dallas.
Wait. Yeah. You're in the car. Yep.
And goes, I'll be right back.
So this is before we had maps on our phones. And so I thought that I knew where I was going, and I was completely wrong.
Which sounds so, like it's so cliche. Like, yeah,
It's
man,
so
I know where
cliche.
I'm going.
I literally thought I knew where I was going,
Yeah.
and I had no clue, and I was lost.
Yep.
As she's blindfolded. So we pull over to a gas station,
Yep.
and I say, hey, stay right here. I'll be right back.
Yeah, wow.
I get out of the car and leave her there, blindfolded, to go inside and ask for directions to where we were going.
Literally sounds like the beginning of a Dateline. I left her blindfolded in the car. Yeah, and some weirdo drove away with her. And that was, yeah.
Yeah, but
Luckily, no one got in the car.
Yeah, you survived.
Except for you.
She was a little scared that some random person would get in and just start driving, and it was possible, but it didn't happen. So.
And I left my blind. I could have just taken the blindfold off.
The blindfold
Honestly,
off.
Trust.
She was going for it. She was just like, okay, this is what he wants me to do, so we're gonna do it.
Yeah, honestly.
I get back in the car. We drive to this place called Teddy Bear Park in Dallas. So if you're from Dallas, you know exactly what I'm talking about. Yeah. But Teddy Bear Park, and I hand her a rose. Inside of this rose
is the ring.
Was the ring for the proposal. Yeah. But I didn't tell her that. I just said, hey, hold on to this rose, and I'll come around and get you out of the car. So I open up the door. And she moved very suddenly to get out, just, kind of like.
Well, I didn't know the ring was in there.
Yeah.
Obviously.
And all of a sudden you hear cling, 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 literally feet away from a drain.
My ring. That's what I said. I'm like, we could have gotten back in the car at this point and been like, we're getting married.
Ding, ding, ding,
Get
ding.
my ring.
My ring. And I'm like, oh my gosh, this is so bad.
It's so bad.
Finally, I get on my hands and knees, have to find this ring. I'm telling you,
almost by a drain,
right next to a drain. This would have just put the top on, or topped it off above everything else. It was awful. Yeah. So I grabbed the ring, put it back in the rose. I'm like, okay, hold on to this rose. Don't make any sudden movements. She's in heels.
Heels, in case you thought he said I'm wearing heels. I'm wearing heels.
She's wearing heels.
Heels.
And listen, we have to cross over a bridge. It's like wooden, and her heels are getting stuck. And all of a sudden, we get to where we're supposed to be. And although things weren't great at first, and a lot of mistakes happened, we had a moment
I still
where
said yes.
Well, you didn't say yes.
I said
heck yes. Took the blindfold off, was on my knees, asked her to marry me, and lo and behold, even though my proposal was not the greatest in the world, she said yes at Teddy Bear Park, and we were so excited to. And what did we do right after you said yes?
Went to Jason's Deli. Right? Is that right?
We went to Jason's Deli.
Dude, those baked potatoes, though.
But the fact is that we were poor, so we couldn't go anywhere nice or do anything that was exciting. So for us,
it was exciting. I like baked potatoes.
You get to get soft serve ice cream, so that's amazing.
Yeah.
But we shared a baked potato. Actually, it was all you can eat kind of thing, right? Like a salad,
like a buffet type
almost
thing,
like a buffet.
Oh, yeah.
But we got our food, we got our ice cream, and we celebrated. It was so funny. Like as I think about it, I'm like, oh my gosh, like
and it was just
that was not great, but
it was great.
For us,
it was great.
It was amazing. It was such a great experience.
So simple.
So don't despise small beginnings.
That is so true.
Yeah, because when you start off, or one of the questions we're going to go over today is talking about being young and getting married. I'm telling you right now, that's a part of it. When you're young, unless you're super successful, which a lot of young people are these days. It was hard, but we got to do something that was really fun for the both of us.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, hey, welcome back to Young, Dumb, and In Love. We're so glad that you joined us today. Make sure you subscribe and hit that like button and share this with all your friends that need to hear this. But I just really believe today, as we talk about what we're talking about, that I hope that you hear and know that in our hearts, we're just talking honestly with you, and we don't really want to say anything that will change who you are, but just help you and propel you forward in your marriage.
Yeah.
And we have a few questions here in March that we want to go over, and I'm going to pull them up real quick. So earlier this week, we asked people, hey, what do you want to know about marriage? And we said that we would do our very best to answer these questions. And you know what? Let's go over some of these questions, and let's do our very best to just answer these for everyone out there. So the first question is, how do you get your husband to open up about his feelings?
That's a good question. When I find out the answer, I'll let you know. No, I'm just kidding. I mean, I can give you some feedback. I think like anything, there's seasons.
Yeah.
You know, I'm going based on, I don't know how long you've been married and kind of what your situation is now. I think the best way is giving them an opportunity to share their feelings, you know, and letting them know like, oh, I'd love to know how you feel, or how are you feeling? And a lot of times, I mean, it might be like, I'm good. It's cool.
Most of the
time.
And
some husbands, you know what? They may share their feelings all the time.
Yeah.
But I think probably one, just giving them an opportunity to share. Two, not getting frustrated if they don't always want to share.
Yep.
And then when they do share, not getting upset with them, but just like validating their feelings.
Yeah.
You know, and I think one of the things we learned early on that I would tell Julian was, just because you don't think that way doesn't mean I don't feel that way, you know? And a lot of times people are like, your feelings aren't real. I don't really love that, because when you feel something, it feels very real to you.
Yeah, that's right.
And, you know, so give him an opportunity to share his feelings. Don't belittle him or make him feel bad about his feelings. And a lot of times, and Julian, you can speak to this, I think that our husbands are insecure with their feelings. For
sure.
And they're afraid that we're going to view them as weak. Like if they share feelings that may seem weak to them in their mind, you know, they want us to think they're strong and that they have everything under control and they can take care of us. And so sometimes the feelings they're having don't align with that. So they're afraid like, oh my gosh, if I tell her this, then she's going to think I'm weak or think I don't know what I'm doing.
Or fear of failure.
Yeah.
Yep.
So what else would you say?
Well,
how can we get husbands to share feelings?
That's the biggest thing for me is, you know me, I'm very, I don't like to talk about my feelings, because once I do, it's like, it just comes out, and it really, I don't know, I'll cry, or I'll have, deep feeling. I'm like, I don't really like the way that feels. Right.
Yeah. Which a lot is like your
it's my
type
personality.
Of personality.
Yeah. And I, because I'm a happy person and I want everything to be fun and exciting all the time. And, it's hard for me to like go into this, like feeling, of here's how I feel. That's just not really who I am. But what's happened, and there's another side of me that is insecure about, I don't want to fail my wife. I don't want her to think that I'm a loser, like stuff like that, which I know she doesn't feel that way, but at the same time, that fear is inside of me. And so when she creates a space, like when got the kids to bed and we're just talking and hanging out, and it's a safe, good environment, a lot of times she'll like, hey, I noticed this. Are you okay? Is everything going okay? Like, you can totally talk to me. If you don't want to talk, that's totally great. But she creates a space and an opportunity for me to open up that isn't vulnerable, but it's just safe, and that's been really helpful for us to do that. And I've realized that I am a feeler, and I don't want to be, because I don't like the way it makes me feel in that moment. But when I open up, I'm like, I cry and I have all these like thoughts, and she just listens so well. And that's the thing about her. She's done really well as a wife. She listens to me. She validates my feelings, and she doesn't belittle me, because if it's like something that I'm dealing with that might be kind of like, why are you dealing with that? She always just looks at me and goes, it's going to be okay. Let's walk through this. And then she encourages and helps me discover the next steps to move forward. And that's been really good for our marriage. And and she's such a great wife. And, she's the best. What else can I say about that? So
I'll see.
Yeah. Okay. So just create a space. I think all in all, create a space. like she said, don't belittle their feelings. Don't tell them that's not real. Nothing like that. Just let them talk.
Yeah.
Because once they open up and they start talking, for me, it's a good place to be, but it's really hard for me to get there. So when she creates that space, the floodgates open.
Well, and I think sometimes too, just kind of remember, like as a wife, like, and it could even be that maybe the wife doesn't want to share feelings, and the husband's like, why won't she tell me how she feels? You know, we've heard that before.
Yep.
Personalities are different too. Like
right.
I am a feeler. During the day, I could kind of go, you know, I have a little more emotion naturally. And so just kind of know too, like personality wise, like Julian is pretty stable and chill. Like it's not a lot that he's like, oh yeah, I'm feeling this and I'm feeling that. And that's part of his personality. So not that he doesn't have feelings, but if I'm like, are you okay? He's like, yeah, I'm good. Are you really? Yeah. Like I'm good.
Actually good.
You know,
she's learned to actually just believe me. Yeah.
You know, so yeah. So that's what I would say.
Yeah. So, I mean, and the answer is not for there's not one answer for everybody.
Yeah.
Because you have to think about their personality and their Enneagram and whatever it is that you use when it comes to the personality, because I'm a 7, I want to keep everything happy. I'm a half glass kind of guy, you know, full kind of guy. But you might be married to a 4 and they're going to be feelers, or you might be married to a 9 and they don't want to, like, you know, they don't want to cause any trouble by telling how they feel. So I just think really understand who they are, create a safe space, and don't press them too hard. I think that's the other thing. Don't press them too hard. Like she's had to learn, if I say I'm okay, that means I'm okay, you know, and if she doesn't believe me, then she can ask again another time, but that's about it. So let's move on to another question.
I feel like we're going in 2 totally different directions in life. How do you stay in line with each other? It's a really good question.
Yeah, that's a great question.
Want me to start?
Yeah.
I think it's really hard. And it's why it's important. You know, you hear a lot, especially, you know, growing up in the church and then marrying someone, like equally yoked, you know, you both want to have the same beliefs. And I think it's hard because, you know, once you're already married, like, all right, it's too late for that. Like, unless you set out like that, you might, you know, not have the same beliefs or the same ideas in life, but it's the commitment that you made to that person. And so I feel like I'm really struggling with this one. Can we start over this one?
Go ahead. Yeah.
Okay.
Starting over.
Just the response.
Yep.
I think that's such a great question. And, I think sometimes in seasons, no matter who you are, you feel like you're going in 2 different directions.
Yeah, totally.
Even if you're not, it just can feel like it, you know. You know, you have kids, your kids get older or whatever it may look like.
You have move, your job, my job.
Exactly. But I think what's important, again, and we'll say this so many times, is making room to talk about it. Open communication, you know, and of course being careful, making sure you're bringing it up at the right time, but like, hey, I feel like we're, you know, kind of going in 2 different directions. Like, and this is can be such a loaded question, because it's like, what 2 directions are you kind of, you know, talking about? Is it a belief system? Is it one spouse wants kids, one spouse doesn't? You know, it can be super big, or it can be a subtle, you know, different directions.
Yeah.
So I think there could be several different answers, but open communication. And then setting up time to be super intentional, because I think sometimes when we feel like we're going 2 different directions, like a solid date night or, you know, a day away, just you and I, like reconnecting, talking about like, you know, our dreams, our visions. And we do have totally 2 different jobs, you know, in this season of life. And we used to work together, you know, but coming back and having, you know, how was your day? How was my day? That kind of thing. But again, it can also be like a more loaded, like what if it's like a belief system, loaded. Could be, you know, I don't know. So what would be? Yeah.
I mean, I think that we are, like she said, we are always going in somewhat of different directions because of what we do. And maybe not everybody, but for us, like she said, we have 2 different jobs. We have 2 kids who have to go to 2 different schools. We have, I mean, everything that we do, a lot of what we do, we have to do by ourselves, because I take one of our daughters to school, I come back, and then she takes the other daughter to school, and then we're just all over the place. I'm doing my work, she's doing her work.
Well, it's like two ships passing in the night. I mean, it's
it
true,
really is.
and it does feel like that.
Yeah,
I think sometimes in different seasons of
yeah,
marriage.
Yeah, sometimes we're brushing our teeth and we look at each other and we're like, "Hi, I'm Julian."
Yeah,
and we reintroduce ourselves in that moment. But it's just a real feeling, and so I think she hit it right on the nose. The number one thing that you can do is just plan and set aside time that you guys can just reconnect.
Yeah.
And I think it's as simple as that. Reconnecting, having conversation, having fun together. I think that's the other thing. Learn how to have fun
is huge.
together,
laughing,
because laughing. Some of my favorite memories is us just driving in the car, laughing, talking, having fun. Not anything we've ever really done, but just those moments where we're reconnecting with each other. So,
well, I think it depends on like how serious is the different direction. You know what I mean? Like, are we talking like to the core, this is like feels impossible, or is it a season of, hey, we just need to reconnect, you know? And that's why like we always encourage couples to like get counseling, meet with an older couple who's journeyed that before. That can be so imperative. So you don't feel alone, and you know, like that's just going to be, some seasons are just going to feel like that.
Yeah. And the whole meet with other couples that have been on that journey before. We had that for a long time.
Yeah.
And I remember those are some of the best memories of learning and growing, because they created a space for us to go and sit in their living room and talk together and have fun. And they would cook dinner and it was just awesome. One of the best times ever. But then they always were very intentional to separate us. And he would talk to me and she would talk to her. And they're like, hey, just put it out there and just be honest and tell me what you're going through. Let me help you. And it was a space with that we were able to just be honest, learn, and grow. And probably that couple and that situation for us was monumental for our marriage, because it really helped, because we're so young, it really helped us learn how to communicate, how to talk, how to just be real with each other, but loving and sweet at the same time. So find that couple, find somebody that you can talk to, or get some real help with some counseling. And and if it's something super serious, man, don't just listen to this with a grain of salt. This is like surface level. Get some real help and really spend some time working on that, so that you can understand each other and where you guys are going together. So all right,
well, that kind of leads into getting married young. Wasn't that one of the questions? Because I feel like that we just kind of
that's one of the right here.
So one of the questions was best advice for getting married young. Like we've said before, we got married when I was 18 and Julian was 20. I'm not sure you literally can't get married younger than 18 unless your parents like
sign.
So I was pretty young. But what Julian said just now is having a couple that's seasons ahead of you kind of help you walk through it in a safe space was, honestly, we talk about it all the time. It was so monumental for us and such like a beautiful experience. So if you are, if you think of a couple in your mind, like, hey, we really think this couple's marriage is something we would love to have. Ask them, hey, would you guys be willing to just like pour into our lives? Talk to us. Tell us how you like things you went through. I think that's huge. It's like, so basically like a mentor couple. And we didn't have it in every season, and we haven't had it in every season, but in those beginning years, it was so good to just hear like, hey, we've struggled with that too. But best advice for getting married young, that would be one of my top ones. What would you say?
Number one is definitely that. Have that couple that you can learn and glean from. I would say another thing from the man's perspective is I really take time to listen to your new wife, who, if you're young, really just listen to them. I think that's one of the things that took me a long time to really understand. Because of my personality, a lot of times she would bring me an issue or a problem, and the first thing I would want to do is fix the problem or come up with a solution. And that's what I do. I want to be a problem solver. But really what she needed was for me to listen. And you know what? It's not just her needing that. I needed to listen, because what happens is when she's talking and she tells me what's going on, I'm learning who she is. I'm learning what she needs. I'm learning what she's going through, the way that her mind thinks, and that what she needs for her life, And so if you're a young man and you're getting married young, man, just shut up and listen to her. Like, honestly, just stop talking.
No.
And ask her, hey, what's going on? How are you doing? What can I do to help you? What can I do to help you just move forward in our marriage? What can I do to make you happy? Like those kind of things. I wish I would have done. I wish I would have done more when I was younger. I think I'd probably ask that every day of my life now, but it's true. It's real.
Well, I think a few things that if we would have learned earlier would have been helpful. One is kind of knowing how like love languages. I don't know if you've ever heard that, but 5 love languages, Google it. There's a book. It's an older book, but it has such good information in it.
Yeah, we'll put the link in our description below.
But learning how your spouse receives love the best I think it changed our marriage. Yeah. And I think it continues to change our marriage. So when you're, especially in the beginning, if you can kind of say like, take the love language test. How does your spouse like to give and receive love is one. And then, which we'll dig into these deeper, but also learning what your spouse's like fears are, what their biggest need is, which was really big. Like mine, I need security and safety. Yep. And yours, is you don't want your fear of failure. Yeah. And so it's like, once we kind of knew those things and we could operate in like, okay, he's afraid to fail. So if I make him feel like he's failing, he's going to just like, and if I don't feel safe, I'm going to freak out. Yep. So it's like learning those things early, I think really helps a lot.
Yep. So, absolutely. Anyway, yeah. I think that's huge. And take the time for you, like if you're young and you're getting married, take the time to enjoy your life and become best friends before you bring kids into the situation. Now,
if you can help
it. That's what I was about to say.
Obviously things happen.
Now, things happen and you can't control it. But if you can, just spend some time with your spouse and look at them in the eyes and say, let's have fun. Let's become best friends. Because when kids and life and work and everything that you do comes into play, you're going to have to be okay with putting others before yourself at a lot of times. And because we're always having to serve our kids, make sure they're eating, make sure we're taking them to school, make sure we're going to the programs. And I'm like super tired. And that's why because she's my best friend, even though we have all those things going on now, because we've built a great friendship, we're able to look at each other every night and say, I got your back. I got your back. Okay, we got each other's back. Going. Let's keep doing this together, And I think that's been monumental for us. Yeah. So next one.
Yeah.
Okay. So another question. Here's one. Here's another question. Finances. Keep them together or separate?
Together.
Together. Listen.
This is a hard one. Here's the thing. We had to have our finances together by default.
Before we were married.
I would not recommend this. But I was too young to have my own bank account and we were living in Texas. Yep. You couldn't have a bank account in the state of Texas unless you were 18. Yeah. And so I was 17, Julian was 19, so we had a bank account together.
Before we got married.
Wouldn't recommend that.
Yeah, so she knew when I bought the ring.
But together for accountability purposes, and this probably could be a whole entire series. Yeah. I mean, all of these questions honestly could be series in and of themselves, and we probably will make them that. But I just think whenever you have too many things separate, it just leads to secrets, and it might be,
it opens the door.
It just does. It opens the door. So we have accountability. I mean, we've shared bank account forever, but we share bank accounts. And the great thing is it's like, oh, hey, what's this from? Oh yeah, it's from that. And we
have nothing to hide.
We just say together, obviously, there could be a lot of different things, but your main accounts together.
Yeah. And it's accountability. Like she said, I think having an open door policy when it comes to all things in our marriage has been super, super good for us. And it keeps us safe. It keeps us not able to hide anything, which I think is probably key for a lot of people. Yeah. But even now, like I have a business bank account and we have our account. still we link them. So she's able to see everything on it, knowing what's going on. And it's not because she needs to, but because I want her to. I want her to know that.
Because I got to pay the bills.
Yeah, we got to pay the bills, but I also want her to know that like I'm responsible,
Yeah.
that I'm working hard. Yep. I want her to see what's happening. And
money will be a good series.
Yeah, money is a tricky one. It is. So, but it keeps us honest with each other. Yeah. So, all right, next question is advice for sharing responsibilities in your home.
It's a good question too.
It is a good question.
Again, we've been married a long time. In the beginning, I did everything around the house.
I played video games. It was great.
But communication, I mean, this is just key to everything. And we were actually talking about this today.
Yeah.
Different seasons, when I think it depends on, okay, like, is someone working outside the home a lot? And so, you know, the other person's home. I mean, it really is like
where you're at,
couple to couple, like each couple. Because I don't believe like, oh, that person should have to do everything. I think splitting it, whatever you're good at, whatever it is. But for us, it's one, communicating. Hey, these are the things I need you to do. Like Julian's response, he takes out the trash and the recycling. And he picks up the dog poop. You know what I mean? Like there's certain things that I'm like, I'll do it. And I do it. Like if he's gone or out of town, or if it just gets like, okay, he's busy and it's there, I can do it. If the dishwasher is full and he's home and I'm not, he's going to unload the dishwasher if he notices, you know? But just things like that. I think it's like communication.
Yep.
And then, I mean, I think a lot of times, now I could be wrong, it seems like wives get frustrated with husbands maybe about like house stuff when it comes to like, hey, he's not helping with this. Could be, I've heard it opposite as well. But it's like nagging doesn't ever help.
Doesn't help at all.
Like nagging drives Julian crazy.
Drives me
like
nuts.
He'll just literally be like, you're bugging me.
Yeah.
And I can tell. But it's like, as silly as it sounds, when he does something that blessed me, because my love language is acts of service. So I love 100%. Like when he like does something for me.
Yeah, like when I make
gifts,
the bed.
Forget it.
I'm like, well.
Physical touch, okay, great. But like I'm touched all, like our kids are always like, mommy. But if he like makes the bed and cleans up the house, I'm like, oh my gosh, one less thing I have to do. So it's like giving him praise for it. Just like fills him up, right? I mean, thank you so much for doing that. Just acknowledging what they do. So communication, acknowledging when your spouse does do something. And I think letting them know, like husbands as well. Like if your wife, like I do all the laundry and I put it away for him, like everything, like him saying like, thanks for doing that. Like, I know that's a lot of work for you.
Yeah.
You know, so just appreciating what they do. And then again, it's going to be like home to home, like basis. Yep. Like, is someone at work all day outside the home and then, you know, they come home. It just kind of depends.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Kind of a tricky one.
I think too, just when it comes to your spouse, I think that we should both have just an attitude of servitude all the time.
Good.
So yes, I take out the trash and that's kind of what we just established was my job, right? But she sees that I can't, or I'm so busy with work and I'm trying to get stuff done. Because she has an attitude of servitude, she's just going to do it, and she's not going to complain. She's not going to nag me, nothing like that whatsoever. She's just going to do it, and vice versa. If she's super busy and things need to get done, I will just get up and do it, and serve her to the best of my ability. And when you have that kind of attitude with your spouse, and you're able to really truly look at them in the eye and say, "I just want to serve you. I just want to make you happy. I just want to do what I can to bless you." When you take on that attitude, I think sharing responsibilities is going to be so easy for you because you want to bless them. You want to help them in any way that you can. And even if she hates poop, the dog poop outside, like it's like poop. For her, it's like, ugh. And for me, it's like no big deal. But I've seen her get up. Like I was sick a couple weeks ago and she was out there picking up dog poop.
That dog
she was doing all the things, didn't complain one bit. She just took care of it because she knew that it would help and that it would be a big blessing for me. Yeah. So attitude of servitude, I think, is super helpful.
Well, I mean, even the longer we've been married, Julian sometimes will just say like, what can I do for you? Like, how can I serve you? Is there anything I can do?
I could tell something's going on.
Yeah. Right? Like, I'm just like, oh my gosh, even just asking me. And also husbands and wives, like your home is like equal responsibility. Like your home operating and being a certain way is equal responsibility.
That's right.
It doesn't mean one person has to do more or less, but like, it should be just teamwork. Yep. Teamwork makes the dream work.
It does. So true. All right, so let's go on to the next question. How can you help your spouse be more romantic?
That's a tricky one.
How can you help your spouse be more romantic? I think it's another, I mean, all these questions, I think that it varies from couple to couple.
It does.
Because what might be romantic to me
yeah.
might not be romantic to her, and vice versa. And so I think it's important to, again, know and understand your spouse's personality and what they need.
Yeah.
Romantic for her is a lot different from mine, and that's okay. I'm not mad about it, but that's the attitude of servitude. We're going to do what we can to serve each other in that way to be romantic.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, I think it varies from couple to couple.
It does. Yeah. Well, I think when we think romance, a lot of times we have this
notebook.
Like The Notebook?
The Notebook.
Oh, whew, that's a good one. But yeah, I think we've like just culture and just we're bombarded with all these like ideas of what it should look like, you know? And really romance is just loving your spouse the way they want to be loved and the way they need to be loved and doing even like the smallest thing. Now, some people may want grand gestures. And that's what makes them feel like, you know, what they view as romantic, or big candlelight dinners, or, you know, whatever it may be. So one, again, that's like knowing your spouse and what they want for romance. And sometimes I think this is something we forget. Do for your spouse something you would like them to do for you. So if you're a wife and you're thinking, man, I would love if my husband would like make dinner and put candles out, maybe do that. So that he can see like, wow, okay, she likes this. Because sometimes I think it's just like they don't know what they don't know.
We don't know.
In different seasons. You know, if you have kids, like you're like, yeah, I'm gonna have candles at home and have this big dinner. Okay, cool. Someone's gonna, you know, knock a candle over and dinner's like.
And only moms think like that. Dads are like, whatever, it's gonna be good.
So it's really just like, what does that look? You know, romance is different for everyone, which is hard. Now, if you're talking romance, like. Wow, chicka bow wow. Obviously, that's a whole nother can of worms. But I think too, like loving your spouse the way that they like to be loved can kind of help boost romance in general. And then we were just talking about this, and we could give more details as we've been seeing like this couples like adventure book or something that's supposed to like help. I know we need to do more research on it.
Think outside the box.
Yeah, like different dates and different ideas to do. And I think like we'll probably snag one of those and start doing that and kind of like see how it goes.
Yeah, I think too is when you understand your spouse and the way they need to be loved, it's going to be easy to become romantic in that way. And so just an example, I'm like, for me, romance, a part of it for me is I love actual dates. Like I like to go away from everything and everything that we have, and I like to have dinner, and I like to go to a movie, and I'm very cliche. Like for me, I'm very cliche what first dates are
I
like.
I like that too.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah. But for me,
you like it a lot.
Man, if she goes and sees a Marvel movie with me, I'm like, girl, you can take me and you could do whatever you want. But seriously, like that kind of stuff really like makes me feel
Marvel
happy.
Movies.
But no, her going with me and being like into it, you know, and we go and we're laughing.
I really like Marvel.
And she's into it, yeah. But going to a movie is not your favorite thing.
No.
You don't like going to movies. But
I don't really like it very much.
Let's go to movies every day, you know. And for you, what would you say yours is?
Going on hikes.
Going on hikes. We talked about that.
Going and getting coffee and going on a hike. I'm very simple. Yeah. I'm not really into grand gestures.
Yeah.
I'm just not. I like little things like he used to. You haven't done this in a long time.
Ooh. She's gonna call me out like that.
Okay. Like leave
I'm listening though.
Like a drawing on my car. Remember like the little rose car?
Oh my gosh, yes.
And just like write a little poem. I'm very much like very simple romantic. Yeah. Very like not grand gestures, very little things.
Yeah. She doesn't like me to buy a card for her. She likes me to make one for her.
Yeah, but there better be something.
Yeah, there better be something. I've made that mistake before.
Just recently.
Hey,
anyway, was there any other questions?
Yeah, no, that's it for the questions.
Yeah.
So But hey, thank you so much for joining us today. I hope that you do subscribe, that you do like our videos and you share them. And I really just hope that we can help you in any way that we can when it comes to your marriage. Yeah. And like I said, we're not perfect and we're far from it, and we're still working through it. But here's what I do know. I do know that the love we share is very special, and we want to share that with you and help you just grow in your marriage. But until next time, we love you guys. We'll see you soon.